Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Powerwolf, Call of the Wild, out July 16th on Napalm Records. This album has 11 tracks, 40 minutes in length, and this is the band's 8th full-length studio album. They are a German power metal band. Now, the way they constructed this record, I felt like they divided the album into 3 different pieces. The first piece of the record, the opening piece if you will, it has the singles, but it also has songs that have some traits that will find a familiar home with Powerwolf fans. You get a sense that you've heard these songs before, or you heard songs that had the similar traits. I like this as the opening of the record because it allows the listener to feel comfortable with the album. It allows the listener to ease its way into the record and stay connected with the rest of the experience of the album. You can throw in a few wrenches, you can throw in a few curveballs down the line. As long as you have me at the opening, as long as you connect me right from the beginning, it's going to be a lot easier for me to digest changes as I progress down the line versus having them right at the opening salvo. In the middle of the record, you have portion 2 of the album, and that includes the ballad Alive or Undead, and includes a more folky song in Blood for Blood and a German track. Now, these 3 songs are very different from each other, but the fact that they're very different is kind of what makes them combine well with one another. It almost feels like they fit together because of the differences that they have. Similar how the opening portion of the record had a lot of similarities, and that's why they really work well together. The differences here is really what brings these songs as one group of tracks right in the middle of the album. It also gives you a little bit of a reprieve between the opening salvo and the closing of the record. The closing of the record is very similar with the opening of the album in terms of song construction, style, soundscape, lyrical content. There's a lot of familiarities there, so it's an album that goes full circle. What you get at the beginning as far as strength and power and quality, you're going to get the same exact thing at the end of the album with that middle stretch there of 3 songs that feel perhaps a little bit outside the box, even though I don't feel like they're necessarily new to Powerwolf. Once you get into the sound, the album sounds big, but Powerwolf is not here to reinvent the wheel. They bring in their DNA, they bring in their flavor. Songs that have a lot of melody, a lot of drive, a lot of power. They're very robust. An album that feels really big, and some songs almost cinematic at times, still having that church vibe present there, but this is pretty much what you come to expect from a Powerwolf record. And on this album, while having some nuances and perhaps enhancing those nuances in terms of the track listing that they picked and the alternating of styles from song to song, those nuances become a little bit more noticeable, if you will. But outside of that, the album still feels very similar to what we've gotten used to from Powerwolf. Big sounding record, a lot of drive, a lot of power, a lot of strength, a lot of depth, and incredible keyboards. I really felt like the keyboards on this album played a very important role in the overall soundscape. They're not the only element that really plays a part, but they are one of the most important elements on this album because they really know their momentums within the songs and from song to song in terms of when to come into the forefront, when to drop in out a little bit more, when do you want to give atmosphere to the song, or do you want to give more melody, more drive, more experience, creating that cinematic approach. They're always there to give something different from track to track depending on where the track is going, the direction that the songs are taking. The other elements within the soundscape that played an important role, in my opinion, are the drums and the guitars. The drums, I felt that at times they were heavy, at times they created the tempos, they created the momentums, and there were other portions or other moments within this album where they were a little bit more in the background. They moved and give space to other elements to jump into the forefront and catch a little bit more of the spotlight. So I liked the diversity of approach as far as the drums go, not just having one style, one size fits all from beginning to end, and not just being there to create power and movement and grounding the record, but being a little bit more diverse than just that. Outside of what they did to the album, I like the sound quality that we're getting from them on this record. They feel a little bit more alive. They feel like they have a little bit more depth. They have a little bit of a crisper sound at times, but still having a little bit of that oomph that you really need out of the drums to create the overall aroma of Powerwolf. Same could be said about the guitars, another driving element of this record. I felt like the guitars were a little bit more consistent from top to bottom. Incredible solos on this album, not because they were outside the box and they really blew me away with the intricacy that they put in the forefront, but more so on where they were within the tracks and what they gave to the song. Talk about serving the song and doing what's best for the track in order to make the song stronger, better, bigger. That's exactly what the solos did on this album. That's one of the reasons I really like the guitars on this record, is once again driving the experience guiding you throughout this album, and when the solo time came in, they always deliver. They always give you something that made this song feel more complete. On top of it all, you have Attila's vocals. What is there to be said? He is the voice of Powerwolf. He is that DNA. And on this record, he's phenomenal. He helps the songs feel larger. He really helps that cinematic drive. He pairs up perfectly with what's happening as far as the keyboards are concerned. The keyboards are making the songs bigger, and he's going with them, ensuring that you as the listener feel the changes, the nuances, the dynamics that these tracks have, because some songs feel very linear musically, and his voice and his tone and his delivery is really what's changing your perception and your eyesight as the listener is concerned. I also like the backing vocals. It's an important element of Powerwolf. I always feel like they make the tracks come to life. They give that cinematic style, once again making the songs feel a little bit more robust. And on this record, they used it throughout the whole album, but once again always understanding what the song calls for and bringing a little bit of the live performance, of the live aroma of the band into the studio, using those backing vocals to do that. Overall, I enjoy this record. I really think this is your prototypical Powerwolf album. I don't think this band can do a bad record. So if you're expecting a Powerwolf album to at least meet the bar, this album definitely does that. My downside as far as this record is concerned is I'm not a huge fan of this song structure, of this track listing. I actually felt the album needed another ballad. I felt like a ballad earlier on in the record and then a ballad later down the line would have balanced out the album a little bit better. Having those three songs that really break the routine of the album back to back to back, it felt a little bit too much. It kind of took a little bit of the strength and the quality that those songs have. In my opinion, they needed to be a little bit better spread out throughout the record. You need to alternate styles a little bit more. I was not a huge fan of this three-piece section of this record because it really gives you a lot of one item at the top, a lot of another item in the middle, and then it goes back to the top again with the last portion of the record. It felt at times that I was just going through the same song on repeat. So the quality of the tracks is undeniable on this record. This is a strong Powerwolf album top to bottom, but the song structure itself, in my opinion, could have been better, and like I said, this album could have used another ballad. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Varcolac. Cinematic vibe to this track. This is such an incredible song, very powerful in the sound and the tempo. The verses and chorus, the dynamic between those two is really interesting, is what really gives strength to the overall track. The volume is incredible. It just feels like it's a song that's becoming bigger and bigger with every passing second. It has a super catchy tone to it, both musically and vocally. It's just a catchy track all around. The cinematic vibe that this song has helps make the song feel a little bit bigger, and it breaks it apart for some of the other tracks that are around it. So this allows the song to become a little bit more memorable because of where it's placed, the sound that it has, and that cinematic approach. Very robust song from top to bottom. A song that really has a lot of life, a lot of sound, a lot of experience within its walls. Next, Call of the Wild, the title of the record. A song that feels more melodic, more linear. It doesn't have that depth. It doesn't have all of those layers coming at you. It definitely doesn't have a cinematic approach to the soundscape that it has. It has a more straightforward feel. It has a more straightforward construction, if you will. I like the backing vocals on this track, but Attila really delivers the Powerwolf DNA fingerprint on this track with his voice. You almost don't need the backing vocals on this track. They're there as a flavor, as a fragrance to just give the song a little bit of an extra push here and there. But his delivery is magnificent throughout this track. He's really the mechanism that provides the ebbs and flows of the song, because musically the track feels very linear, very straightforward, but vocally is where things really change and where you get different perceptions depending on where you are within the track itself. Last but not least, Undress to Confess. This is Powerwolf. I had to pick this song. The moment that I saw the title, the moment that I listened to this song, this is going to be one of those tracks that you're going to remember because it's super catchy, both musically and vocally. Undress to Confess. What's there more to say? The title says it all, and it has a super catchy chorus, very easy to remember, very easy to sing along. It's a one line that really helps the track, a track that works because of its simplicity, but it also works because of the comedy effect that the lyrics have. The two really work well together, allowing this track to really jump into the forefront and be one of the strongest songs in the bottom half of the record. This is it. This is Powerwolf, Call of the Wild, out July 16th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.